and the faster you answer it correctly, the more points you get. Why isn't IPv6 the main protocol on the internet yet? All right. IP version 4 port address translation. We can hide 64,000 approximately IP addresses behind one IP on the global internet. And we can do that multiple times. That's 64,000 times 64,000. So that's the reason that we haven't yet, gone whole hog with IPv6, although we're making progress. All right. Good job. Space Goose is on top of the heap. Very good to have everybody here. Moving forward, here's question 2 of 10. What happens when a host sends an IPv6 broadcast into the VLAN? Yeah, Converge World. I think Kahoot was doing some Halloween type music in the lobby. Good stuff. DeWald says, hello from South Africa. DeWald, fantastic to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I'm Paul CCNA, and a lot of people were in the other room. I did shoot out another message, so if some people are showing up late, my apologies for that one. All right, there are no broadcasts in IPv6, so if that happens, something is broken. And one of the questions that is asked is, well, if we're not using broadcast, doesn't like computer 1 need to know the layer 2 address of computer 2 if they're on the same VLAN? The layer, like in IPv4 we use ARP, but what do we use in IPv6? It uses multicast and multicast groups. There's a thing called a solicited multicast group that a device joins based on its IP address, which is a lot of fun. But for CCNA, you should be aware of that neighbor discovery protocol is how those guys discover each other's layer 2 addresses and what network they're on and so forth. But there are no broadcasts in IP version 6. They use the multicast function instead. All right, let's see who's on top of the heap here. Eagerhan with 1,829 points. Way to go. I also want to point out that the last time we had a quiz focused on IPv6, I want to tell you what the average correct answers were. It was less than 30%. That means there's a whole bunch of room for opportunity for growth. So about 4 months ago, I had an IPv6 quiz. This isn't identical to that, but the concepts aren't changing too much because the same kind of basic information. All right, here we go. Next question is this. Question 3 of 10. Which of the following is a multicast address? Ooh. And I see an IPv4 address there. So this is a question about IPv4 or IPv6. Which of the following is a multicast address? And Carrie, thanks for passing on that PIN number for Tom Pele. Helping other people out. That's a huge secret for a lot of happiness in life. And the 999J Strict is asking, hey Keith, do you guys fall back an hour next Sunday? I don't know. But what you can do is for the quiz, just look up whatever the time is, Pacific time, whether it's an hour forward or behind, and that's when we'll have the quiz. I'm going to schedule it for 11 a.m. every Sunday, which we've done for like 24 weeks now in a row, and we'll just keep it at that time. All right, FF02::5 is a multicast address. Ooh, and for bonus points, can somebody chat in and tell me what that multicast group represents? That'd be awesome. What does FF02::5 represent? And let me do this. This would be fun. Let's go ahead and let's bring up a router. And we'll do IPv6 unicast routing. And let me just, let me focus that a little bit better here. Right there. And like that. All right. Nothing like seeing it live. All right. Ooh, look at Braham got it. And so did Serg, and so did Kevin, so did Nick, so did a lot of people. It's OSPF. So if we did something like this, IPv6 unicast routing, you know what? I'm going to go with this. So if we did a interface gig 0/1, and we did an IPv6 enable, and we did a show IPv6 interface for gig 0/1, it will have joined some multicast groups. It joined this multicast group because it's enabled for IPv6, and it joined this multicast group because it's a router on this network, and it has a routing function. And if we configured, which I'm not going to do right now, but if we configured OSPF, it would also join FF02, which is a multicast address space in IPv6, ::5. And if this router was a designated router, a backup designated router, it would then also join the multicast group associated with the DR and BDR, which would be FF02: 6. So great job. Awesome. All right. Let's see how we're doing here. On the top of the stack, we've got balanced llama. All right. Oh, I just realized I'm looking at, I thought I was sharing my screen. This is what Keith looks like when he's focused on the screen. So, all right, let me show you the real screen there. There you go. Balanced llama is in first place. Good, congratulations to everybody participating today. Here's question 4 of 10. And it's this. And Andret's asking, can somebody send me the link of the quiz? You basically go to kahoot.it. It's in the bottom right-hand corner of the live stream. And if you're going from a computer, and the pin is right there, 2661959, and that'll get you in. Or if you want to watch it in the live stream and then use the app on your phone or smart device, you can do that as well. And Mark is commenting, this is indeed an IPv6 practice quiz. I appreciate the help in the chats. Okay, which two commands auto-generate IPv6 addresses with info from the MAC address? And the correct answer is it shows our, let me get my pen out real quick and change the color to one that we can see here. So this and this, why are those two correct? How does that work? A lot of people got this one right. Let's talk about that first. IPv6 address 2020 :1:/64 EUI64. What that says is, hey, for this globally routable address, because of how it starts, go ahead and use the MAC address on the interface, wherever this is configured, and insert some FFFE in the middle, flip the 7th bit, and that will auto-generate the host portion of that IPv6 address. So that will auto-generate the host ID for that IPv6 globally routable address. This one over here, what is that? IPv6 address FD08 6783::1. What's going on there? Behind the scenes, what's going to happen is we put that address on an interface, it's going to generate a link local address automatically. And a link local address starts with FE80. And as a result, it also has a host portion to that, and that host portion also uses that EUI magic where it takes the MAC address and it puts 16 additional bits in it, and that's what the auto address is talking about there. So that one's a little more tricky because it's not super obvious. Over here, this is a link local address itself, FE80::1, so it's not generating any, and we're specifying the whole address. And over here, we're also specifying the entire IP address. See that ::1 there? So we're not even giving it room. It would bark if we did that, I think, because we're specifying the last 64 bits with the ::1. All right. If you want more information on IPv6, feel free to join me. Whatever course of material you're currently studying, use that. You're also welcome to join me in the office hour every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And with daylight savings and all that good stuff, I know some countries do it, some countries don't do it, some parts of the world do it. Anyway, just check a calendar that that day for what Pacific time is based on where you are in the world, and I'll be there. All right, so let's continue on here. You guys are doing great. Here is the winner so far is Funny Crab with 4,398 points. I'm excited. All right, question number 5. Here we go. And CIXXCV, if you want to follow up on that last or previous question or challenge it, come see me in the chats in Discord right after this video, and we'll do that. All right, which multicast groups are joined when IPv6 is enabled? Link local addresses are FE80 for KMAC. All right, FF02:1. I think I may have brought that up on the screen a moment ago. If I did and you were paying attention, that rocks. So FF02:1 means the interface is enabled for IPv6, and FF02:2, that multicast group is specific for a device that's acting as a router on that network. All right, so FF02:1, that is joined, and yeah, the other one here, FF02:5, is that OSPF one, but that isn't joined unless you're an OSPF device. All right, let's see who's on top. Funny Crab refuses to be moved. Fantastico. All right, 6 of 10. Blank IPv6 addresses can be routed internally, but not externally. Fill in the missing portion of that sentence. It is not green. I'll take that off the board if you have not yet voted. It's not green. Not link local. All right, unique local are IPv6 addresses that you can use in your organization. They can be routed, but they cannot be routed in the public address space. Those would be the public address space would be those from the 2000 to 3000 or 3FFF range. All right, so unique local and then link local, you know, those bad boys, they don't get routed anywhere. Link local is fantastic. Let's say you and I wanted to communicate with each other in the same VLAN, and I wanted to send you a frame, you want to send me a frame or whatever. Well, that's layer 2, but if we wanted to communicate with each other, we could use link local addresses for that link that is in common to us. But somebody on a different VLAN has no idea what our link local address is, nor will they ever, because link local addresses are only good for that single link, that single VLAN that you and I are connected on. So unique local is the correct answer here. And here we go. Funny Crab is still in lead. Congratulations. There's 3 more questions. 7, 8, 9. I guess this is 4 more questions. This is question 7 of 10. What causes a router to join the multicast group of FF02:2? Bias, you're welcome for the explanation. Happy to do it. And I gotta say, Loom, your explanation of what is IPv6, IPv4 plus 2, off the charts. Way to go. And that picture in the diagram, by the way, that is a router. that a carpenter might use. And Henry, thanks for the shirt comment. Yeah, name the triangles. It's a fun one. All right, IPv6 unicast routing enabled is what causes a device to join FF02::2. And one of the tricks that I often use as a CCIE is I like to verify stuff. So if I hear something or if I'm labbing something up, I might or if I read something, I might lab it up just to verify. So if we did this and went into configuration mode and went into no IPv6 unicast routing and do show IPv6 interface for gig 0/1, you'll notice it's joined this FF02::1. That's because IPv6 is enabled on the interface. It's got a link local address, doesn't have a routable address, but it's got a link local address, that works, and it's joined an FF02::1 group. Now, if we did IPv6 unicast routing, which I will just take out the no, and then we'll do an up arrow key a couple times, and the same command, now it's joined this group as well, indicating it is a IPv6 router, easy for me to say, on the network segment. All right, let me minimize that. And many of you did very, very well on that. Way to go. Funny Crab has the lead. The faster you answer a question correctly, the more points you get. Here is question 8 of 10. It is multiple select. And I'm looking for which commands on their own can auto-generate an IPv6 address. I'm talking about the host portion of an address. And Michael's saying, I'm a carpenter. That's awesome. I admire any craftsperson or any skill, really. I'm just amazed by a lot of people. So thanks for being here. Mark, is that you routing something for the new studio? I hired some really amazing craftspeople to help me with this studio. I don't have that skill set. All right, every single one of these answers is correct, and it's interesting. So most people agreed. 65 of us say IPv6 address autoconfig. That definitely will do it. IPv6. So basically, you can see the numbers there. You know what the best way to actually kind of test this out would be to bring up Packet Tracer, one router, and connect to a switch and just try them. So whether it's the global address or the link local address that's getting the auto-generated host portion, all of these commands will do it. And that's a great exercise. If you've been studying IPv6, you want to cement in your mind, okay, which ones how's this work? How's that work? That's a great way to do it. Also, if you would, I am curious about where you are currently watching from. If you would chat in, where are you watching this from? What state, what country, what city, whatever you want to put in would be great. Just don't put the street and house number. We'll leave it a little bit above that level. But I am curious to see where everybody is watching from. And thanks for being here. India's in the house, Massachusetts, Albania, Ontario, England, Denmark, Michigan, Lehigh, Utah. Greg, I used to live in Lehigh, Utah. No kidding. Right there by Thanksgiving Point. It's like a Silicon Valley these days up there. All right. UK, Dallas, Ireland, Bulgaria, Brussels, New York, Nairobi, Hungary. Man, that's so great. I am so glad that you're all here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, as far as just accounting real quick, okay. I think I mentioned everything. I just want to make sure I covered all the hot points so you can make sure you can find me. One really easy way to find me is to subscribe. I have like 70 or 80 subscriptions on YouTube so I can easily find people. And as that list gets bigger, it's like, where was that again? But by clicking on subscribe, it just helps you find me when you need me. And so as you're studying your content and you want to learn a little bit more about spanning tree, or you want to get your confirmation regarding first hop, routing protocols and first hop routing protocols, FHRPs, like HSRP and VRP, or you want to study static routes or something else, come and check out the channel. I've got a playlist. It's got like 130, 140 videos in it, all focused towards CCNA. So I'm glad that you're here. And thanks for the feedback, by the way, on where you're coming from. I'm going to enjoy reading that here in a few minutes. And in fact, I'm going to do that on this next question. Funny Crab is still in first place. I think we have like 2 more questions. It's a word cloud. My question for you is, what are you using for hands-on practice? So go ahead and type in your answer. I'm curious. What is the primary? You may be using all these, but what is your primary go-to? And then I will also share with you my recommendations as well. Thanks again for the feedback. And Alad's saying, do you have any IPv6 videos, Keith? I do. I've got some IPv6 videos on YouTube in my CCNA playlist. So check that out. Also, I'll go back through this and I'll add a card after this is recorded and stored. So easy to find. If you do a Keith Barker search for Keith Barker IPv6, you're gonna get a lot of IPv6 content from me. That'll be an easy way to find it. And Michael, thank you for subscribing, and everybody else who's subscribed during this session. I'm excited to help. If you're interested in studying, I'm excited about helping you in growing and clarifying the finer points. All right, packet tracer. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. That's the #1 answer I think everybody should be using as far as for studying, because here's the deal. It is free. It does everything you'll need to do virtually for the CCNA prep. It does have a few little edges, but most people never even rub against those, unless your name is Morgan. And then I've discovered that with these 3 situations, Morgan, you are amazing. Thank you for all the input on the Discord server and helping people out. Packet Tracer is fantastic. And if you haven't checked out, I've got like 30 plus labs ready for you. They're in the videos in the CCNA playlist. You should go directly to them. They're on thekeithbarker.com, and you can download those. Also, the current version of Packet Tracer is like 7.3. something. So make sure, and every time Packet Tracer updates, I use a newer version. So if you want to do those labs, just make sure you have the latest version of Packet Tracer, which is free. So thanks for all that feedback. I appreciate you practicing. I think we have one last question, and here it is. No pressure. What is the correct syntax to back up an OSPF route to 2020:3:/64? Kelvin, I don't know if you were here from the beginning, but I also gave you at the beginning of this stream a huge shout out for all the support and help you give to so many hundreds. Well, I actually have several thousand people on the Discord server. I'm very grateful, Kelvin. You're a good man. Kelvin's studying for his CCIE, and I have no doubt you'll get there. CCIE is helping people on their journey, wherever they are. That's a good thing. Giving back a little bit. All right, what is the correct syntax to back up an OSPF route to 2023::64? So one of the questions we might want to ask ourselves as we think about this is, what makes a route a backup route? And it's a worse AD. They also call that just in time for Halloween. A floating static route. So the cool thing about routing is that if you learn about routing for IPv4, it works very similar to IPv6 or vice versa. And so a floating static route, if we have a route to 2020:3 with a 64-bit mask, this guy right here says IPv route to that same network address space. This is the next hop address. So maybe this is like R1, this is R2, and this is R2's address right here as the next hop. And then this 115 says that's what I want the administrative distance to be. So there's a really, I like it. There's a great video out there called Why Do Routes Have to Win Twice? It's in the CCNA playlist here on my channel on YouTube. And it's fantastic about a reminder about how routes get into the routing table. They have to get into the routing table. And then once they're in the routing table, they have to be selected for use. And so the administrative distance is a lot like golf. With golf, a lower score, I don't play golf, but I've seen golf. A lower score is better. Lower equals better. So this also is building into the idea that OSPF has a default administrative distance, just like it does for IPv4, of 110. So if we added a static route with an AD of 115, which is what that number is right there, this route is going to sit in memory on that router, but it won't make it to the routing table as long as there's an OSPF route. Now, if that OSPF route goes away and we want to back it up, basically this route with the AD of 115 will be placed in the routing table, and that's what makes it a floating static route. It's floating in the memory of the router waiting to be used, but it actually doesn't get injected into the routing table until the better routes based on their ADs have been removed from that routing table. All right, so that was a little primer, a little discussion about floating static routes, and the same is true for IPv4 and IPv6. All right, routing's important. It makes the world go around. Here is our leader table. Thank you, everybody, for playing today. Glowing Lizard, 3rd place. Congrats. Rational Yeti. And at the top of the stack, that's an IPv6 protocol stack. Funny Crab. Well. Great job. Let's just enjoy that for a moment. Oh, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and let me get some feedback for you as well. These are the 2 toughest questions, by the way. 40% overall, 40% had correct answers of everything. But these are the 2 most difficult questions. Which commands on their own generate an IPv6 address automatically? And which 2 commands? Oh, wow. This is the same question, just rephrased a couple of different ways. So this top one, 3% got it correct, and the bottom one, 5%, which just means there's a teeny room for improvement, which is fantastic. I may make some additional videos on IPv6. I was told, let me go ahead and also get some feedback real quick. If you would, on your gaming device or the device you're using to answer questions, provide some quick feedback there. That would be awesome. I'd appreciate that. And I remember being in Europe. I was at a Cisco conference in Europe many years ago, and they announced the last block of addresses has been allocated to a service provider of IPv4. And I was like, that's probably 2010. Now, as of this recording, it's 2020. And IPv6 has been out for decades. Well, almost a decade now. So, IPv6 is important to know. Will it ever be the mainstream? Probably someday. Is it now? No, because we can patch so many devices, but our service providers are using it. I did a course in Amsterdam and Vienna, again, about 10 years ago for a service provider, and training them how to come up to speed with IPv6. So it's important to know. It's not like, hey, I don't need to learn this. CCNA wants you to know the basics, like link local addresses, unique local addresses, globally routable addresses, a high level of the multicast groups they join, how EUI64 works, flipping that 7th bit and those kind of pieces. So it's important to be aware of. I do appreciate the feedback, by the way. Thanks for that. Also, I would like to, if you have any questions for me right now real quick, you can type them in the comments. If you can't, jump over into Discord, which we're going to be in right after this is done. If you do an @KeithBarker and then your question, that way I can see it and I can just take a few right now if you like. And that'd be great. All right, so let me bring up those questions. Let me move a few things around here. So if you have a burning question you'd like to ask right now, now's a great chance to do it. And I will sort out the YouTube and my integration there. So the menus were different today. In OBS, I use Streamlabs OBS, and the YouTube, it came up with a different set of menus. So it's very likely that I should do a little bit better testing when those menus change. All right. Kaetwo is asking, and Kaetwo, thank you for being here. Are these test questions more difficult than what we would find on the news on the CCNA? My opinion is that there's great practice questions out there. And we now have like 25 weeks of practice questions that we've been doing. This is my second one that we've done on IPv6. I would say these are fair because in the blueprint, let me pull that real quick. In the blueprint, it says configure and verify IPv6 addresses, which means do it a few times in Packet Tracer. And then compare, which basically means understand address types, global unicast, unique local, link local, anycast, multicast, and EUI64. So I would say these questions, as far as understanding IPv6 at that level, are spot on. They're spot on as far as the level. So once a person knows the basics of the IPv6, you can just say, bring it on, Cisco, go to exam. It's just you and the computer and, a team of moderators looking at you if you're doing it remotely, and just, have at it. It's like, oh yeah, boom, give me another one, boom, give me. I enjoyed the CCNA exam. I did. I didn't get it all right. There were some questions like, ooh, I got that wrong. The next day in the shower, for one of them, I remember specifically, which I can't disclose the details of which question it was, but I was in the shower the next day. I think, oh, that's what they meant. I just misinterpreted it. And there's going to be questions that you just don't know. And that's cool. You don't have to get 1,000 or a perfect score in a Cisco exam. You just have to verify that you understand it. So I go through the blueprint, study each of the aspects, and think, wow, 802.1q, I don't really understand that. So you watch a few videos, read some books, or a few paragraphs on it, lab it up, and then think, oh, I get it. 802.1q. If you have two switches, switch A and switch B, and they want to send a frame over from this switch to this switch, and that frame is a broadcast for VLAN 20, we should have this switch tell that switch, hey, this broadcast is for VLAN 20. How do we do that? We just add a little tag in the frame that says, hey, this is for VLAN 20. That's an 802.1q tag. And then we shoot it over. The receiver switch gets it and says, oh, this is for VLAN 20. Thanks. And then it propagates that based on all the ports and trunks associated with VLAN 20, except for the port it came in on. Also, you know what? I'd like to ask you a question. You are here right now in some parts of the world. I know it's super early or super late. I do have a question for you. Over the last week or so, I was thinking, what if I created a series, like a playlist, and I called it Cisco in 5, or 5 Minute Cisco, or something, and covered a lot of the core content or core concepts I get over and over and over again. But instead of having it like for 15 minutes or 20 minutes with lots of elaboration, just the essence of it in like 5 minutes. And that way the whole playlist would be 5 minutes. I'd have to go in and say, Keith, you can't talk about this. You can't talk, just the core. What do you think about that? Cisco in 5. Or do you have a name for me for calling it? I'm eager to have something that's concise and tight, and people who want to hang out, and we can chat in Discord, we can chat here. If they want to hear me talk about my t-shirts or whatever, I'm happy to do that. But let me know if you think that's a great idea. Cisco Bytes. Oh, I like that many. And okay, so yeah, if you have ideas, let me know about the name. I'm serious about doing this because it would require a lot of discipline. Because it'd be like taking a news story and then saying, hey, what's the critical piece of this news story? And then focusing just on that juice, and also teaching. So that when somebody watches it, they say, oh, I get the concept, and then I get the basics of it, and also maybe a packet tracer, some call to actions, they could reinforce it. Cisco Quickie, Somali. I love that. Wow. Nuggets on the go. Oh, yeah. Learn Cisco as a ninja. You know what? These are great. Thank you for all that feedback. Those are fantastic. I'm going to scroll up and take a look and see if there's any other questions. Okay. For that last question, says the 999J strict. That was the one with the administrative distance of 115. Why was that address versus the other two that had 115 at the end? Either the other ones might not have been valid routes. They may have been the wrong networks. I don't remember. In fact, let me bring it up. Let me bring it up for you. Okay, let's do this. If you want to go through the other ones that were not correct, join me for 10 o'clock on Saturdays Pacific time. Adjust your clocks accordingly. And I will have all the assets here. So I have racks of gear virtualized. I've got Packet Tracer up during the office hour, Saturday, 10 a.m. And I also have the quizzes, so I can bring it all up. We can discuss at depth if you have a question about that. All right. And Umair, great to see you. I see you quite a bit. I'm grateful to know you through the digital medium. It's fantastic. I appreciate the free content at CBT Nuggets. How often will you change the free content? Thanks. So for people who are thinking, what's that about CBT Nuggets free content? I made a short video on some free content. You can check it out in the playlist at CBT Nuggets. So let me back up. They asked me, CBT Nuggets said, Keith, you've got a lot of content here, or so do the other trainers. Do you want to make little pockets of that free? Like the CCNA course is huge. I mean, it's very extensive. And do you want to take like a certain, like a set of videos or two and put them into the free content? And I said, yeah. And so that's what I'm doing. So in the little video that's called, what's it called? It's called CBT Nuggets free content or something to that effect. I have a link where it's showing you the current stuff from me that's currently free. So I'll be rotating, and in answer to your question, I'll be rotating that probably twice a month. So if you see something show up, I would take advantage of that within 2 weeks, because it's likely after 2 weeks to be rotated with something else. And for somebody who's a full subscriber, you get access to the full catalog 24/7 and the labs and everything else. So for the free accounts, that'll be rotated every 2 weeks. Enjoy. Let me know if you like it. I have a lot of fun creating it. And any good books for the 200-301 cert? Walter's asking. Here's my plan of attack for books. I go to Amazon and I'll just do a search for that book and I'll look at the ratings. And if there's a book that has a ton of ratings and it's mostly good, I also read the bad reviews, some of the bad reviews, and see what they're saying. And that's a great way to vet out anything that you want to purchase, is what does the crowd say? Do they like it? Do they not like it? And why? And that's people who don't look at one-star reviews, maybe I won't look. Sometimes it's just a troller or somebody had a bad experience, but I want to see at least a few bad reviews and think to myself why. But if they're mostly great, so Wendell Odom, cut to the chase. Wendell Odom, great books, and also Todd Lamley. So I don't have any financial ties to either of those gentlemen, but they both make a really killer book, or sets of books. Wendell Odom or Todd Lamley for CCNA, for the written. And here, thank you. Okay. Great. That question got asked a couple of times. I've had a CCNA, says Somali. I've had a CCNA since 25th of August. Congrats. Awesome. I'm still researching jobs, but didn't find it. Do you think it's better to continue CCNP? What's your suggestion? I like CCNA security. So since 2020, February 2020, Cisco no longer has a CCNA for security. They have one CCNA. That's CCNA, 200-301 at the moment. And then they have professional level certs. So they have some enterprise security and others like data center and so forth. So as far as moving forward, I wouldn't stop. So if you got your CCNA, the first thing you'd want to do is start looking for work. Anything to get hands-on practice. So important. Volunteer. Find an organization, even if they don't have Cisco gear, you've got some knowledge about how IP works and ARP and all the rest, and you can sort out their problems and help. Serve. Find people to serve with those skills in networking in general. And then while you're waiting or while you're still searching for a job, if that's the case, go ahead and start your CCNP if that's what you want to do. Some people, I've heard people, some people who are pretty close to me, in fact, not too many, but a few, say, CCNP, not worth it. Yeah, well, every CCIE I know is amazing as far as technically. And the way they got there was one day at a time, 1 week at a time, including myself. Back in 1999, 1999, I got my first CCNA. And it was brand new to me. I didn't know anything about anything. So I studied it, learned it. And then 2 years later, I got my first CCIE. But it was a lot of work. And I also got NPs in between that. So I would say that getting the CCNP in enterprise would be very valuable because it sets you ahead of everybody who's at CCNA. Also, you're going to learn a ton of stuff. I mean, in CCNA, I can't tell you how much stuff we have to hold back. It's like yesterday in the office hour, they were talking about distribution methods over Ether channel. Like CCNAs aren't even supposed to be aware that even exists. But as you get to the professional level, we go to other protocols like BGP, Border Gateway Protocol with prefix list, multiple spanning tree, not just rapid spanning tree, and some interesting QoS stuff. And based on what we're studying, additional topics that are fascinating, like OSPF version 3. You can run that. OSPF version 3, you think, okay, it's IPv6's version of OSPF, which is not in the blueprint for CCNA. But OSPF version 3, you run that process, you can create these address families for IPv4 and IPv6. So you could be running IPv6's OSPF version 3, and then within address families, you could still support IPv4 OSPF. Or named EIGRP. So there's a lot more to learn, and it's fun, but it all relies on the basics. So I would start and just don't stop studying. I'm 56 now. I was born in 64. If you're listening to this recording in 10 years, that's amazing. But anyway, I study every week. I still study. So I just did SD-WAN a few months ago for CBT Nuggets. I learned it all from scratch. I didn't know it before. I mean, these are the concepts, but I didn't know it. And just keep on studying, keep on learning. And what's next is, let's see, what is next? I'm finishing up Secure Core right now. And then after that, I think I might jump back into some CompTIA stuff that is required in our library at CBT Nuggets. All right. Blake, you're very welcome. Thank you for that feedback. Danny is asking, how's Jeremy doing? Is that Jeremy IT, who makes all the free packet tracer labs, or Jeremy Chara? I would say ask them directly. They've got channels, and they're fantastic. So I imagine they're both doing great. They look like they're doing great. So just reach out and ask them directly. They are both fantastic people. So Jeremy Chara, CIOARA. You can... It's probably the hardest part of finding Jeremy Chara is spelling his last name. So CIOARA, join his channel. Take a look at his stuff. He has a lot of great real world stuff. True story. So I was doing this office right here, and I had a technician out helping me running cables in walls and, boring through the 2x4s. What a pain. So he had I bought all the gear, the terminators, the Cat 6 cable, and everything else. And he was going to do all the work. And I asked myself, should I do A or B, right? For the cabling, the termination types for the UTP. And I went to Jeremy's videos. I did on YouTube. They're on YouTube, and I just looked them up. Said, "Oh, okay, yep, that's what I thought, or that's what I remember now." Thank you, Jeremy. So a lot of great real world cabling data. He's doing amazing things. Jeremy Chara is. So subscribe to him. Great guy, and you'll learn if you want to learn. He's a great teacher. I have worked with Jeremy for like a dozen years now. Let's see. I've known Jeremy for probably 20 years, and I've worked with him on and off for over a dozen years. All right, let's see if there's anything else for me. Do you know if passing this is from Tim, do you know if passing the CCNA exam at home is cheaper than passing the same exam on site? I think it's the same price. Since we had this thing go on in the world, I've only taken exams from my home. And so I just get a kitchen table, clear everything off, put the laptop there, and take them from there. But in the US, I believe they're the same price. I don't know that there's a discount. So I haven't checked, though. So I think they're very, very close. How do I find the area of a triangle? You want to Google that. Is that a joke about radius? Radius is a protocol to have like a router or a switch or somebody authenticate a user as they're coming in. They can talk to a AAA server, like a radius server. So I thought that might be the beginning of a joke. And all right, let's see if there's anything else for me. I don't think that's it. Okay. All right. All right. There's more questions pouring in at the moment. As far as one last question, and I'll if you want to follow up, we can go into the Discord server, which I'll be there in a few minutes. What's a reasonable amount of time to finish the CCNA? And I would say less than a year and more than a month, and probably somewhere in between there. It really depends on how much time do you have to spend doing it. When I studied for my CCIE back in, decades ago, my first one, I spent 8 months, and it was 4 or 5 days a week, around 4 to 5 hours, maybe 4 hours a day. And I had young children at the time, and it was tough. But I got out at that time, the blueprint, the exam topics, and I ranked myself, like what's important, how well do I know this? And then I started going to work, started studying. And so if you're studying like an hour or two a week, it may take several months, and you might forget some stuff on the way. I would say that for an average person who's really committed, 3 months would be a suitable amount of time to get it done. Like, set a plan. I'm going to study 3 or 4 hours a week. Schedule that time. Turn off all the social media. Let your loved ones know you're studying, and then go at it. Also, it's so fun. I'm here as a resource for you. In the office hour, every Saturday, 10 a.m., I have people that show up and say, I can't believe I'm talking to Keith Barker. It's like, yeah, I'm here. So we have like somewhere between 15 and 20 people that pop in. They bring their questions. They're able to get them answered. And if my thought is, if you're sincere, so you have some study method that you're using, whether it's CBT nuggets, which is good, or anything else, whatever it is you're using for your main course of study, as you're studying something, use the CCNA playlist here on YouTube on my channel to go deeper into those topics or to make sure you understand it. Use the packet tracer labs to help ferret out how those things really work to reinforce it. And then if you have questions, come and join me in the office hour. Yesterday, I had a question that was never asked of me before, but I thought, my goodness, I'm making a video out of this because this is a question I think a lot of people have. It was regarding MAC addresses, layer 2 addresses. So if you have a multi-layer switch and it has 48 ports, do each of those ports have a MAC address? Which MAC address is used in the spanning tree as part of the bridge ID? And it was fantastic because I would bring up an interface and just do show commands. Show version. Here's the base MAC address. It's not used on an interface. Here's the 48 ports. Here's the MAC addresses on those ports. There's a show interface, gig 0, whatever. And that MAC address is really transparent from a logical perspective if it's acting as a layer 2 port, because traffic is just flowing. So it was fantastic to draw it out and actually explain that. And it's fun. I can't tell you how much fun I'm having because there's so many questions and clarifications that I can help make based on my experience in going through the same thing. I mean, I still remember those times when I was trying to figure out. I remember when I first saw with a protocol analyzer STP, and I didn't know what it was. Back in the day, we didn't have. Back in the day, it was token ring, like a long time ago. And then when it came to Ethernet, and we had these suitcase-looking protocol analyzers, big like a sewing machine that's portable, and you plug it in, and it eavesdrops on the traffic with a big tap. And I saw this stuff happening every 2 seconds. BPDUs. I was like, what is that? I remember. So I'm just sharing with you. I remember when it's like to just learn something brand new for the first time, and I didn't know what it was. And we didn't really have too much Google back then either. That was a long time ago. So anyway, in my studies, I learned about that. And when I did, I was like, oh, that's what it is. And then I thought, how does it work? And then I studied on how it worked, and I labbed it up, and now I share that with people. So anyway, good to have you all here. I'm going to go ahead and stop this stream. I will also be doing some trimming over the next couple days, the beginning and the end, and that way the recording will be here for anybody who wants to enjoy these questions as well. All right, I'm going to jump into Discord in about 5 minutes. I'm going to use the restroom first, and then I'll jump in. If you want to join me, the link is in the video description. Well, I hope it is because I had to jump in a new stream, but I will make sure the link for the Discord server is in the video description, and I'll hope to see you there if you can make it in a few minutes. If not, I'll catch you in the next live event. Let me send you out with some really amazing music. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Blendinator, confirming it is in the description.